Good evening and welcome to Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis. Thank you for joining us. Joining us on tonight's program is your United States Congressman, John Peterson. Stay with us. It's all tonight on Feedback. Welcome to Feedback this Tuesday evening. Good evening to you. I'm Mark Despotakis. From this shot, you may be able to tell, maybe not actually, that we're on a new set here. We have moved actually about look at the new set, and Congressman Peterson, who will be joining us here in a few minutes. But this is a look at our new set. You'll be seeing, of course, more of it as we continue. Kind of different for us. No TV monitor in the background, but the logo is still there. So you'll be seeing that coming up in the next few months, of course. All right, as is we show you on something I picked up off the satellite that came across on Monday afternoon. It came out of our affiliate WAGA in Atlanta. It's a story by Paul Yates on election procedure. Take a look at it.
President Carter opened the hearing with harsh conditions voting he found in some developing countries. He urged a close look at procedures in this country and elsewhere.
To see what are their best practices, how do they conduct an election that is honest, fair, safe, without error, also that in citizens have election.
Today was Georgia's Secretary of State Kathy Cox, who said Georgia's election problems rivaled Florida's last fall. She's calling for a uniform electronic voting system.
We believe that electronic systems that are flexible, accurate, and that prevent overvoting just options. Democracy has to be...
In Atlanta, the hearings will move to presidential libraries in California, Texas, and Michigan.
So there you go. That's what they're saying about voting reform in Georgia right now. It's certainly something that's hitting the country, as you heard there. They're going to be taking it kind of on the road to some of the presidential libraries. Interesting. What's going to happen? Maybe we'll ask Representative Peterson to comment on that. That is what is coming up next here on Feedback. Stay with us after the break. Your United States Congressman, John Peterson, joins us. Stay with us. Clarion County and surrounding communities since 1950.
Indiana, she wants to go out with this loner.
The young man wants to know if the girl over there is a donor.
Somebody wants to know if you're an organ and tissue donor.
Yes.
Hey, me too.
Are you a donor? Make sure your family knows your decision so they can later.
And I said, you know, it wasn't a better name for a movie to come out now, and I think I'm going to make the movie or write the book. It would be a great book to have, and you can call to get her book. You can also find it online. Well, I have a feeling I'm going to be animated. So about scheduling. Why is it that students have such a problem here with?
Tune into Feedback Tuesday and beginning
We're really out of time. No time to talk to you. We'll see you tomorrow.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by the Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant. The Captain Loomis Hotel and Restaurant is located at 540 Main Street in Clarion and offers dining as well as a nightclub. The restaurant and nightclub are open 7 days a week for your convenience. Call Loomis Restaurant 268400.
Welcome back to Feedback. I'm Mark Despotakis. As I said, joining us on today's program is your United States Representative Congressman John Peterson. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Mark.
And we're talking. I didn't know yours is the largest district.
East of the Mississippi, largest geographical. Yep.
Wow.
I have my own mini West, I call it.
Mini West. Okay, let's talk a little about what we were talking about. We were showing here in the first segment, voting reform. Election 2000 was certainly the most interesting, and that was my first presidential election that I got to vote in, so I'm very proud to say that. Do we need some type of voting reform, some uniform system?
Well, I don't think we want the federal government to federalize it, but I think the federal government will probably furnish some money. There's a lot of bills been introduced, and I'd be surprised if this year's budget doesn't have some money in it to help states. States do need to invest in their voting processes because we need to get in the 21st century. You know, as one of them was saying, you know, there are states that are voting with computer screens you just touch, and then it comes back, and are you sure that's how you wanted to vote? And then you say yes, and they say, no, are you sure? Here's how you voted. And it's a pretty fail-proof system, and for 2 or 3 times you have to keep making sure you made the right vote, and then they calculate your vote, and it goes right in. And you know, the other problem that we're not talking about much today, but urban, in my view, this is my personal opinion, and I've been involved in some Philadelphia elections, the urban cities have a lot of fraud. They still vote dead people. They vote people that have moved away. And one of the problems with motor voter in this country is if you have a driver's license, you can vote. That doesn't mean that you're a citizen of this country. And those are additional things that, in my view, there's been a lot of false voting in the cities. Not so much in rural. In rural areas, I don't think it's a big problem. But in rural areas, we've certainly had punch cards, like we're a problem in Florida. We have old paper ballots in part of my district yet, where you put an X in the box.
Still using the paper ballots.
And it's time to move on, but it is expensive. The machines were very expensive, the big mechanical machines, and they're kind of dinosaurs. They have to have somebody make parts for them now. The company's not in business. But we need to invest. It seems to me with computer technology today, it's gotten so less expensive year after year that there ought to be systems soon that can provide very accurate counts and make it very simple.
Would you advocate maybe a statewide standard system as opposed to each county choosing their way? Not a federal standard, maybe a state
I think
standard.
States should at least limit options to what they feel are appropriate and make sure that some of these old systems are gone in that investment. I think you're going to see states putting money up too. I think there's going to be an investment to bring the voting process into the 21st century, and it'll be an appropriate one.
And it took that election night that lasted, I think, 36 days to...
Forever. It seemed forever.
It did seem forever. For those of us covering it, even at a local level, it was forever. Okay, we're going to move on from that. You know, something that your name has been so associated with recently is the Edmund Pope ordeal, maybe would be the word. Well, let me just describe it here. Pope was in Russia accused of espionage by the Russian government. He was later pardoned by President Vladimir Putin because U.S. officials said his life was in danger because he suffered from a rare form of cancer. Now, you were one of his strongest advocates to get him out of there, and there was a quote in a New York Times article some time ago when he said that you were one of the 2 heroes in winning his release. How do you feel about being called the hero?
Well, I feel humbled. His wife, Sherry, and his business partner, Keith, came to me in mid-April or late April, and told how they were getting no help, they had no hope, and they were unable to communicate with him. They didn't know that he even knew that they knew he was okay and was alive. And so we got started in the process, and we spent a tremendous amount of time. My staff went with her to Russia in June. I went in August, October, and December, and spent a lot of time there, and did something I never thought of doing as I was growing up. I went to Russia and raised hell with the FSB, their unfair charges. He was not a spy, and their unfair judicial system was not giving him a fair trial. I mean, nobody in this country would go through what he did, and he was in the Florida prison for 254 days, and in about October, he was a very sick man, partially almost starved to death because of the terrible diet he was given until we started to be able to take food into him. His wife finally figured out how to get food into him because you were allowed to take 32 pounds in every so many days, and she had people doing that regularly. She went over there 4 times, was only allowed to see him an hour each time. They were tough.
Wow.
I was also in the courtroom when he was sentenced. In June, we thought we had him negotiated out through indirect sources outside of the State Department. And then Putin made that proposal to the FSB, which is the most powerful agency over there. It's the replacement of the old KGB. And they were very upset. So he said he'd have to wait till till the trial went forward, so he couldn't interfere. But the trial went on for 2 months. You know, it didn't start until October, and it was clear into December. And we were very concerned about Ed's bone cancer. Fortunately, he's okay. His bone cancer has not come back. He's at high risk, though, for 2 years, the doctors say, because of the tremendous stress factor. He had some skin cancer removed when he got back, and he has some other health problems, but they're manageable health problems. He's 54 years old, and so he's always been a person that was in very fit shape. But it was the challenge of a lifetime. I never expected to be over in Russia holding just multiple news conferences, doing live talk radio, live TV, being grilled by the Russian press. It was a challenge. It was interesting as I look back. It was a great learning experience and something that I'll never forget.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess it kind of puts things in perspective for us, you know, when we think our day is rough.
Well, I complain about our judicial system. It's, you know, I think ours is not perfect. But I want to tell you, it's wonderful compared to the Russian judicial system. He was, you know, by rights, he should have had a jury trial. They never allowed him in the Moscow area. He was not allowed to have, he was not allowed to take the charges out of the courtroom, so they were never even allowed to go to the lawyer's office.
Really?
And that's really. He was not allowed to cross-examine the witnesses. He was not allowed to have an American witness. He was not allowed to have an independent interpreter, and the FSB interpreter was terrible. I heard him the day when he was sentenced, and it took an hour and 22 minutes to read the sentence. And he would give him about 2 or 3 sentences of English and then say, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He was a terrible interpreter. He was
oh my gosh.
The charges made no sense to Ed when he translated them to English, and so the whole thing was he was framed. Why, we're not quite sure yet. I'm very thankful, though, that we completed before this spy issue come up in Hansen, where we threw out 50 of theirs, and they're going to throw out 50 of ours, and because it would be very difficult to get out of prison right now. They'd probably be wanting to trade him for Hansen, who could be devastating. Hansen was a very high-level person in our anti-spy system, and to have someone in that position that know how we try to protect our interests here, be working for them for 15 years, and then allow him to go there and tell them everything he knows firsthand would have been devastating. And so we're just very pleased that Ed's home, back with his family, recovering. In State College, yes. And I had dinner with him 2 weeks ago, yes. And in fact, his Russian attorney was over, Pavel Ostahoff and his wife. Had a wonderful dinner with them and a visit. And so it was, we made some real friendships. We were over there enough that we made some real friendships in Russia. And it's a country every news article I see now in Russia, I read them because I've developed a keen interest in Russian affairs.
When they first came to you about this, you didn't know if he was really a spy or not, did you?
No, I didn't.
And you went with it anyway.
Yes, I didn't think he was. But I said this later as we got more and more information, and people came to me from all over this country, people that are really arms dealers that work the whole world, came to my office and wanted to try to be helpful. There was a lot of people who wanted to be helpful. A lot of retired military people wanted to be helpful because Ed had a 26-year career in the Navy as an intelligence officer and was very highly regarded. And so there were a lot of people trying to help Ed, you know. And so I was quite sure he was not a spy, but I said to a number of individuals who questioned me, what if he's a spy and you're going to be embarrassed? I said, I won't be embarrassed, because if he is a spy, he's our spy. And if it's your brother, and the CIA had hired him to go there and spy, would you want us to desert him? No. And the person said, well, no. And I said, well, we shouldn't desert him. I said, I personally still believe, and he gets incensed if you accuse him of being a spy. He is incensed.
Really?
Oh, yeah, he gets very upset, very emotional about it. He wants to clear his name so badly because he was found guilty and sentenced to 20 years of hard labor. And he was devastated that day. He was in this huge metal cage, like inch steel bars, in the courtroom, about a third of the size of the courtroom, and I had arranged it so he could stand and hold his wife's hands and they could kind of embrace through the bars during this hour and 22-minute ordeal. And the moment they finished sentencing him and the final words were 20 years of hard labor in a northern prison camp, I mean, he was devastated because he did not expect to get that. And they ripped him right out of his wife's arms, took him right back to the prison, and she was not allowed to see him again.
Wow. That's just amazing. Yes. And maybe it is lucky what we have here in this country.
We're a very blessed country.
We are going to take a break. We're going to talk more with your Congressman, John Peterson, coming up after the break.
This portion of the programming was Den is located on Old Route 66 in Clarion and offers all-day delivery. Phone 226-5555. That's 226-5555. Fox's Pizza Den is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone 226-5555.
This portion of the programming was made possible through a grant by the Carpet Barn. The Carpet Barn is located at 470 South 5th Avenue in Clarion. The Carpet Barn is open Monday through Saturday for all your carpet needs. So call the Carpet Barn, 226-7332.
Wardrobe for some TV5 news anchors provided by Fashion Bug, located in the Clarion Mall. Whether you're looking for junior trendy, girls, or fashion for women, they have it all, with many different styles. Fashion Bug also offers a wide selection of accessories. Fashion Bug is located in the Clarion Mall, just off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 5.
On the big highway of life, only one safe place for kids. The front seat's not the place to drop out. Don't want that big old bag to pop out. Put that booties in the back seat. That back the kitchen never be out. Here to remind you to put them behind you. To stay alive even when I drive.
Thanks. Wow. Welcome back to Feedback. I'm Mark Desidakis. Thank you for joining us this Tuesday evening. Continuing our conversation now with Congressman Peterson. Thanks again for joining us. Moving on here from, let's talk about some things maybe going on now. President Bush survived election night 2000 and is now the president. And he's come out with this idea of faith-based initiatives. Now, as I understand, you support it.
Oh, sure.
Maybe explain the program. Some people get the connotation, well, he's giving money to churches. Explain the program.
Well, in some areas like drug and alcohol rehab, homelessness, the faith-based groups, whether Catholic, whether Protestant, whether Jewish, have always been the most successful. Yet we've not allowed our government to partner with them to expand their services and to treat more people. We're not about drawing people to any religion and promoting the religion. Over in this space that help people. Impoverished kids. A lot of the most successful programs in the cities are run by churches. Why not daycare centers? Why not partner with allow these people the same ability to work with federal funds to expand their services as a non-sectarian agency, and that's just kind of taken the bias away. It's not about promoting anybody's religion, but historically they're by far the most successful at helping poor people and impoverished people. And it's like taking a jewel we have and using it and allowing them, because most people that are down on their luck need a family. Oftentimes the church kind of becomes the family, the support group in their life. And so I think it's an ingenious idea myself.
Does this cross the line of church and state?
Oh, no.
No? You knew that was coming.
Oh, absolutely. No, it doesn't even come close. No. We're not promoting any religion. The government's not endorsing the Catholic religion or the Jewish religion or any one Protestant religion or anybody. We're just saying that those who are running successful programs and want to run successful programs, they'll have same access to federal funds for that purpose that any other group currently has. Just kind of taking the bias away, but it has nothing to do with promoting that religion. The money will not be about getting people to agree to attend that church or go to that church. Helping those people. The Salvation Army's been doing it forever. I mean, just think of the work the Salvation Army does.
Right.
And why should we be biased against the Salvation Army? Their whole goal is to help people.
Right. All right, we have about 3 minutes left, so I'm going to move on from that. The budget. The House has passed it, but now it's in the Senate.
We're passing it.
It's passing, but it's going to pass.
That's correct.
Senate actually talking campaign finance reform. We're hearing a lot, but I guess it's going to be harder to pass. Of course, it's closer in the Senate. It's going to be harder for it to pass. But is this budget? Is this tax cut that the president is proposing? Is this too big? Is this too small? Or is it just right, as he said?
Well, there are those. We have some very, a member just to the east of us here is a part of a group that think it's not enough. There are those who think it needs to be more front-loaded to help the economy. I might agree with that. That we need to make sure that in the next 6 months, if we've lowered the rates and made it retroactive, then you'd have less taken out of your paycheck immediately, so that's going to give more spending. The issue that not people have watched about is the energy issue in this country, the cost of energy doubling and tripling in all the ways we use energy, and the cost to business has had a huge impact on our economy. And if we don't do something, I think a tax cut is just one of a number of things. I think we need interest rates cut further. We need to stimulate, and we need to get a handle on our energy costs because those are coming right out of the bottom line.
How does this whole debacle, maybe we were seeing with the stock market so recently, how does that fit into this? Is it a good time then to do a tax cut plan even with all of the...
Oh yeah, the value of it, that's paper. And our 401ks are smaller than they were, ours aren't worth as much as they were, but they'll come back. That's a paper loss. It's not a real loss. I think we have an over-panic at the market now where we had an over-enthusiastic market out there before where people had run stocks up to 2 and 3 times what they should have ever been worth. That's all sorted out. Now is the time for people to get in and buy back. I'm personally trying to liquidate some property so I can put some money in the market because I think it's a perfect time to buy in. It's low. And that money will drive it back. There's a lot of people who pull money out of the market. They'll put it back and the market will come back and it'll come back appropriately. I think there's an over-concern now and people pulling away from it. Like with an starting up no time that would ever go down again. A lot of younger people, for the first time, have seen a market go down, and they don't like it because they've seen for 3 or 4 years it always went up.
I mean, it's going to happen.
I think we're very close to bottom. I think there might be a few stocks still go down, but I think most of that sort out's done, and I think you're going to see it start to climb.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are certainly about that out there. Back to briefly the last minute left here. Retroactive. How are we going to do that? How do you make something retroactive? How do you find every taxpayer in the country?
Well, we have already passed the overall broad-based tax cut. We're going to do marriage penalty now, and that'll. Well, then your employers will get bills, and where you've already paid too much tax, you may not pay any taxes for a few months. That'll put money right in your pocket. See, if you've been overpaying for the first 4 months because it's retroactive, then the new charts will come out to the employers, and so you'll pay less or maybe no tax. But
I mean, are they going to? Is this all going to be done correctly, or you're?
Well, it all sorts out at the end of the year. It all sorts out at the end of the year. But yes, I think there'll be an effort to get employers up to speed quickly. So much of it's on computers today. It's not all paper. It's a matter of punching in and payrolls, and so they just crank out a check, and you'll have overpaid for this.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. That's certainly been interesting. A lot more topics we could have talked about. We'll have to have next time you were in town.
I'm Brandy. How would you like to give hope to millions of those children? UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund, saving 140 countries. By providing kids with medicine, clean water, education. UNICEF can make a huge difference in our world. For more information, call 1-800-FOR-KIDS. Thank you.
Yeah, we want to thank Congressman Peterson for joining us. He kind of had to run away from us. As you know, we tape these shows on Monday night, so he was in town all day Monday going over to the interesting stuff talking with him. The Edmund Pope story, certainly interesting, just in some of the stuff we were able to talk about off air. Certainly fascinating, so we want to thank him for coming. It's great when he's in town that we can get him on here. As you may remember, the last time we had him on here was via satellite DC, and we had him join us on tomorrow's show. Clarion County Dairy Princess Holly Dieter will be joining us. Now, you may have heard of that, you may not have heard of that. We're going to explain what she does, what her role is, coming up tomorrow on the Wednesday program. Stay tuned. TV5 News coming up next with Amanda Miller. And also, I have a story on that coming up next on TV5 News. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night.